several topics that I wanted to kind of discuss. We have, let me first do the formalities. Shout outs to everybody who shops at the one and only Afrikansuperstar.com. Much love to you guys. My website is scrolling across the bottom there. Please do head over. It's not quite too late if you want to get a Valentine's Day gift. I'd say you need to put the order in today because it can take up to 7 to 10 business days for our products to be shipped out. So if you are wanting to shop for Valentine's Day, put that order in today. Big shout outs also to our members only. Yes, all of you guys with the circle next to your name. Big shout outs to you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the platform on a monthly basis. Also, we have all the African Superstar music lovers. Have you copped your EP? Yes. Yes. Have you copped it? Please do head over to bandcamp.com and pick up my latest EP that was out on New Year's Day. It's a little over a month old now, called For Every Action There's a Reaction. You can go ahead and pick it up. It's 15 bucks, 6 tracks. It's really dope. So support the music project. Today I want to talk about this topic. I have talked about it in the past because I see a huge cognitive dissonance among our people. It doesn't matter where our people are. Whatever is happening in their environment, they somehow disassociate themselves from what is happening. When someone faces a racist encounter, you know, they remove themselves from it. If someone meets violence, you know, I reported a few months ago about a Ghanaian driver in New York City who was beaten and killed because people didn't want to pay his taxi cab. And what I see from here on the continent is like a lot of the people here don't even know about the violence and the racism and the things that are happening in the West. So whenever I come across one of these stories, I'm definitely going to bring it to the light. What's up, Lemmy Guy? He's the first in the chat room today. I'm going to share a video clip at the 4-minute marker to give people an opportunity to come in. So yes, I want to talk about this today. A Ghanaian councilwoman who lives in New York City, she's 30 years old, was just shot and killed a few days ago in her car, minding her own business. And this is what I always talk about. You know, I guess I could call it like my own African proverb, which is you can't sit in water and not be wet. Those of us, you know, Black people worldwide, it doesn't really matter your ethnicity. You should be concerned about things that people are facing. Now, although gun violence is a huge problem in America, I see very little African people sharing that information with their peers back here on the continent. When, you know, I talk about how on my Facebook, I have such a huge, you know, Facebook dichotomy, and I have a little bit of everybody there. I have people, Black British people, Black Americans, African migrants, and Continentals. So I can see what gets relevance and what doesn't get relevance. I did a live stream a few weeks ago about how many of the African migrants are, you know, they glamorize winter to people back here in Africa. You know, they're showing pictures playing in the snow and this and that. But this kind of story, they never share. And so I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I want people here on the continent to know, yeah, the problems that are in the West, they pertain to you. Yes, they pertain to you. So I'm going to share the video clip. I do apologize. At the 5-minute marker, what's up, family? Please, if you're in the room, like the stream. I'm going to talk about this today. In addition to, I'm also going to talk about the Tyree situation where the 5 Black officers beat and killed a young man in, I believe it's somewhere down south. And I'm going to talk about these things today. You can't sit in water and not be wet, okay? That is the moral of the story. So first, we're going to get into the news coverage if you have not heard about this situation so that you can be informed. Okay, family? Stay tuned.
Around 7:30 p.m., police responding to a 911 call about shots fired in a New Jersey suburb.
Check Avenue for the subject of a shooting.
Investigators say they found Eunice Dwumfor, a 30-year-old borough councilwoman, in her car with multiple gunshot wounds and pronounced her dead at the scene.
Got 1 victim that we know of.
Horrified residents described hearing a barrage of gunfire. What did you hear last night?
I heard of this volley of gunshots about 7:30 last night, and I immediately got away from my windows. I knew right away that that was abnormal.
New Jersey's governor says he cannot recall the last time a gunman killed an elected official in the state.
It's just a shocking, shocking development. So please keep her memory and her family and the community in Sayreville in your prayers.
Our New York station reporting that neighbors say they saw a man standing near the car who then fled the scene toward a wooded area and highway near the apartment complex where Dwunfor lived and died. While those who knew the single mother with a preteen daughter praised her commitment to public service, elected as a Republican in 2021, and her devotion to her church.
Una struck me as a person who loved to challenge and loved to serve. And loved to serve through her church and loved to serve the community.
Tonight, authorities not saying whether they have a suspect or a motive, only that their homicide investigation continues.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Okay, guys, what's up, family? Yes, so you guys just saw the clip, and I know you've seen the title, and I'm going to delve into this. Big shout out to the Afrikansuperstar family. I'll play the video again at the 15-minute marker for people that are entering and want to understand the story. So basically, there is a Ghanaian woman, 30 years old. She was a councilwoman in New Jersey, and for all of my Ghanaian folk, they know that, you know, a lot of Ghanaians live in the East Coast. They live in Maryland, they live in New York, they live in Jersey, they live in Washington, D.C. This is a very heavily populated area for many African migrants. You also have a lot of Nigerians in the area. You also have a lot of Cameroonians in the area. And yet and still, I see that African migrants refuse to tell their families back home about this violence. They refuse. Now, I can tell you right now that the likelihood of this 30-year-old woman getting gunned down here in Ghana, very slim to none. They also mentioned in the news story that she's a single mother. Huh? A lot of Black ladies know the story. Yes. So now what is going to be the situation for her? They said her preteen daughter. So I assume the child may be anywhere between, 10 to 13, something like that. The moral of this story is, guys, the fate of one Black man is the fate of all Black men. I don't know how many times I can tell you, but it is what it is. And to all the African migrants and Continentals that want to kind of make it a Black American, Black British problem. Oh, well, they're in gangs. Oh, they live that kind of life. They run with bad people and they're criminals. Well, I'm pretty sure in the story it talked about the typical Ghanaian woman. Said that she was a very, caring lady, devoted to church. Huh? Devoted to church, single mother, living her American dream. And it's all ended in tears. I need you guys to understand that you cannot sit in water and be wet. Another topic that I want to touch on, again, I will play the clip at the 15-minute marker for those of you guys that are trying to follow the story. I'll play that again. But I want to jump onto the Tyree situation, the young man who was killed by 5 Black officers. You see, in America, we have now become so estranged from each other that we don't see each other as family. We don't see each other as peers or counterparts or anything like that. In that situation, it was basically the police against a citizen. Even though they were all Black males, even though the officers know what happens to Black men, in regards to police brutality, you see people have been so socialized in that environment, they are really estranged from themselves. And that is how a Black man could commit such a heinous crime against another Black man, because they don't see any correlation or any connection. One thing I love about living in Ghana is the fact that people look at you on a multidimensional plane, okay? When they see you as a woman, it's not like, oh, that's some girl. They see you as someone's mother, someone's sister, someone's daughter, someone's wife, okay? Which is why this type of daily violence is not prominent here on the continent, you know, because before they would escalate to that level where something would get fatal or something like that, they're thinking about, and because we operate in a community sense, you might know the person that you're having an altercation with or a disagreement with. So, you know, the way that you interact typically with your family or friends is different than how you might interact with a stranger. What happened with those young men doesn't surprise me at all, because I don't see, you know, a huge remnant of community in America or in the West, really. You know, you can't live in a toxic environment, guys, and not be, you know, immune. And if you think that, oh, well, you know, because that's the attitude I get from my peers, is they always seem to think, you know, Eunice thought it wouldn't happen to her too. She was a councilwoman living in New Jersey where there's gun violence every day. That's, you know, big cities tend to have a lot of crime and a lot of that type of activity. That's where she lived. Now, true enough, she might have been in a suburb. She might have been in an expensive, you know, community, and she was, you know, a councilwoman, so she was an elected official. However, you cannot sit in water and get wet. This is a very good point. Michael says she will definitely not get 6 to 12 bullets in her if she was in Ghana. She definitely will not. Those of you guys that are in that situation and you are not looking for an alternative, you are rolling the dice. You're playing a very dangerous game of Russian roulette, because anybody can get it. And you don't really know when you're in the middle of it just how prone you are. Just like Eunice, she's a perfect example. You know, she's a perfect example. Very religious lady, going to church. She got involved with the council. I'm sure she probably thought she can have impact in the community. You know, all this stuff. She's a mother. She goes to work every day. She thought, hey, I'm good. Matter of fact, they shot her at 7:30. That's not even late. You know, you can't be in that environment, guys, and just keep on playing with it and thinking that it's not going to happen to you. Okay? You have enemies both inside of your community and outside of your community. You have people that are not sound who are armed. Okay? They're not wrapped tight. They don't have problem resolution. You can bump into these people in any kind of situation because there's a thing called 6 degrees of separation. And that means that you could be at that place at the wrong time or whatever. And all I'm saying is that all of us have to understand that what happens to one Black man can happen to the next Black man. What happens to one Black woman can happen to the next Black woman. Africans that live in the West seem to think that they are exempt from this stuff. And that is why I'm covering this story specifically. Now, I'm going to run the clip again for those of you that have just arrived so that you can hear the story about this young woman who was just gunned down a few days ago. Please stay tuned.
Around 7:30 p.m., police responding to a 911 call about shots fired in a New Jersey suburb.
Check Avenue for the subject of a shooting.
Investigators say they found Eunice Dwumfor, a 30-year-old borough councilwoman, in her car with multiple gunshot wounds and pronounced her dead at the scene.
One victim that we know of.
Horrified residents described hearing a barrage of gunfire. What did you hear last night?
I heard of this volley of gunshots about 7:30 last night, and I immediately got away from my windows. I knew right away that that was abnormal.
New Jersey's governor says he cannot recall the last time a gunman killed an elected official in the state.
It's just a shocking, shocking development. So please keep her memory and her family and the community in Sayreville in your prayers.
Our New York station reporting that neighbors say they saw a man standing near the car who then fled the scene toward a wooded area and highway near the apartment complex where Dwunfor lived and died. While those who knew the single mother with a preteen daughter praised her commitment to public service, elected as a Republican in 2021, and her devotion to her church.
Eunice struck me as a person who loved to challenge and loved to serve. And loved to serve through her church and loved to serve the community.
Tonight, authorities not saying whether they have a suspect or a motive, only that their homicide investigation continues.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Okay, guys, thank you for staying tuned. So that, again, was the clip of Miss Eunice Dwunfor, the councilwoman who was gunned down in her car a few days ago in New Jersey. And I'm covering this story because I have seen that many Continentals and many African migrants refuse to tell their families back on the continent the reality of the gun violence that is happening. They seem to compartmentalize it, that it is a Black American thing, or, you know, there are stabbings that happen in the UK and it's like, oh, this is a Black British thing, it's a Caribbean thing, and they always want to estrange themselves from it. Well, I can guarantee that here in Ghana, these type of things are very, very rare. Obviously, she is an elected official. So people will say that, you know, I mean, they'll probably do an investigation and all of that to try to find out if she was having, you know, some conflicts or whatever. But I mean, that's kind of beside the point. The point is that gun violence is out of control in America. That's the moral of the story. We don't need to get into semantics about, you know, her political background and all. At the end of the day, what I'm talking about is the likelihood of you being involved in some type of gun violence. Many people ask me all the time why I choose not to be in the West, why I choose not to be in America. Gun violence was one of my top 5 reasons, along with racism, police brutality, quality of life, and chemically modified foods. Those were my top 5 reasons why I needed to get out of the US. I felt that I had so many detrimental factors aimed at me that one or more could begin to affect me. And I believe in being proactive. I believe that every time when I see a situation, you know, I look at that person and I kind of transpose myself in the situation. I know we have some Black ladies in the room. If we have any Black ladies today, can I get a number 1? If we have any single mothers in the room, hello? Any 30-year-olds in the room, can I get a number 1? Living in America, can I get a number 1? What's so different from you and Eunice? Do you guys think that Eunice knew that was her day? Do you think she ever thought about getting shot and killed? Because I would say to you guys that are living in that situation, if you have not thought about potentially becoming a victim, I encourage you to think about potentially becoming a victim. I want you to think about what would happen to your family. I want you to think about all the unfinished things that you have that you want to do. Huh? I want you to think about the devastation, you know, for some of the ladies or the fellas, maybe you guys are single parents. What does that translate into for your child? You know, you got to think about it because it's happening at an insurmountable amount. And one thing that all these victims have in common, is they never saw it coming. They got up like you got up, had your breakfast, put on your trousers, okay? Put on your dress. For all y'all out there in the East Coast, putting on the coat. Hello? You know, Eunice had plans for that night. She had plans for tomorrow. She had plans for the weekend. She was like, oh, yeah, I'm probably going to go to Ghana, you know, in a couple months, blah, 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 blah. Now it's over. It's over. 30 years old. Over. Finished. Why? Because she lived in the U.S. and people have guns and the violence is crazy. People can say what they want to say about Ghana and our various problems here, but I tell you what, people are not getting gunned down in the supermarkets here. There's no school shootings. There's no police. You know, the police will kind of try to hustle you sometimes, but police brutality, no. It's safe to say that if Eunice was swapped out that very day to be here in Ghana, she would still be alive. This violence issue in the West is not restricted to a certain genre of people. Okay, if you think like that, you're being very, very naive and stupid. And I'm going to continue to cover stories that are specifically impacting Africans living in the West. Yes, like I did a few months ago when that New York Ghanaian taxi driver was beaten and killed. Because I want our people to understand that the plight of one Black man is the plight of every Black man. Okay? Consequently, the other topic I touched on, I'm not going to delve into it a lot because I've talked a lot about police brutality, but this gentleman, Tyree, who was killed by 5 Black officers. I believe it happened down south. You guys can help me. I'm not sure the location, if it was Tennessee or wherever. It was somewhere down south. I haven't even looked up the story and all of that. But when you grow up in an environment where there's no B1, okay? B1 means Black first. That means that you have a preference for your people. That means that you have an understanding about self-preservation. You see, there's a reason why, for instance, the white cops, whenever they deal with white assailants, there's such a level of patience and, you know, training that goes into that situation and, you know, just privilege. You know, because white assailants are way more violent and gangster and stuff than Black people. A lot of times they come out with the guns blazing. They be talking stuff to the cops. I've seen them. They're extremely aggressive. Somehow, when white officers are dealing with a white criminal, they have all the patience and tactical training and everything. That's because they have an understanding. They see themselves, oh, this is another white man or a young white man, or he's a kid, or she's, you know, they always have reasons. When white people commit crimes, there's always like a laundry list of why they did it. Oh, you know, her mom died 10 years ago and she just never recovered. You know, she is going through something. She had a divorce. There was mental illness. They always have a laundry list of reasons why this person is acting irrationally. However, when it's our people, they shoot first and ask questions later. But you see, we don't have that same preferential treatment for our people. And the situation that happened with Tyree is a prime example of that. Because when those officers saw that man, they didn't say, hey, this is a brother. You know what I'm saying? And we need to handle this situation. I even understand that there was a woman involved. I understand that Tyree, who is the assailant, was messing around with one of those officers' girl or baby's mom or wife, or I'm not sure her, you know, title. And so basically these officers took the opportunity to beat the guy up and basically like jump him because of that personal relationship happening. And I don't think there was probably a moment where they thought to themselves, damn, this is Black on Black crime. You know, why do we have so much vim towards this guy? Why do we have so much venom towards this guy? No, because they saw themselves as a separate entity. They didn't see themselves as, oh, this could be my cousin, my brother, this could be my son. No, they just had a point to prove, and now everybody involved is going to suffer in that situation. You can't sit in water and be wet. Those of you African migrants, you're raising your kids in the West, and you think that you have imparted culture in them. You think that they know the African way. Well, you're raising them in that very toxic environment, and you better believe that you can't sit in water and not get wet. As you continue to be in an environment, the more that environment begins to impact you. That's just the facts. That's why if you actually look at a lot of migrant families, you will see over time those families begin to break down because they don't have the environment that cultivated them. They don't have their family. They don't have their culture, and they are very isolated a lot of times. And as time goes, gradually, they get a lot more of that American in them, or a lot more of that British in them, and less of that Ghanaian in them, less of that Nigerian in them, less of that Kenyan in them, to the point that they become so estranged. You can use the Black Americans and the Black British. The Black Americans and Black British kind of have a different dichotomy because you didn't have the slave trade directly in England. So most of the Africans and Caribbeans there willfully migrated to Europe, willfully migrated to the UK. But you can really see it in terms of the Black Americans. They've gotten so estranged from their root, they don't even know where they come from or who they are. They start giving themselves all these other titles because they don't know what they really are. So they're giving them all these titles. Oh, I'm a foundational Black American. I'm a Native American. I'm a Hebrew Israelite. I'm this, that. I'm an alien superstar. I'm everything but who I really am. And this is at the root of the situation we're having, And so, yes, I wanted to cover this. Let me briefly go through shout outs. This isn't going to be a long live stream. I ran across this article and I thought to myself, yeah, I need to sound the whistle because people here on the continent are thinking, first of all, people on the continent in large part don't know how violent it is in America. They have really minimalized it, thinking that it happens here or there or whatever, or, you got to be doing something. People wouldn't just pull out a gun and just shoot you for no reason. That's the logic here. You got to be doing something because situations here, disagreements here, it's rare they even get to that level. We may have maybe a handful of shootings in a whole year, maybe. And sometimes it might be an armed robbery or a hit or something like that. But it's very rare here compared to that everyday violence that's going on in America. So, the logic of why someone would just pull out a gun and go shoot the market up, go shoot a school up, shoot somebody on the subway. Sarah C sent me a video. There's been another shooting in the subway, all this kind of stuff. They can't really fathom it because it's so far removed from their reality. But that shouldn't stop those of us from the diaspora in educating them. Okay. And in educating them, it's not condescending. It's simply enlightening them about the reality of where we are coming from and what we have experienced. Because some of you guys, when you're trying to deal with the Continentals, your approach is all wrong. You come there like you're just like the big man and you're superior and they're stupid and they're slow and they don't know. And it's not like that. You got to take into context their environment and their socialization and understand, yeah, they don't know about racism because they're not dealing with it every day. They don't know about the nature of what goes on in America because they don't hear about it. They don't experience it. And their families that are abroad is not telling them. So where exactly will they know if they've never traveled? Big shout outs to the family. All right. We got Lemmy God in the building. What's up? What's up? Please, guys, hit the likes. We got 20 of you in here. There better be 20 on this likes on this video. Hello. And you can support the stream. Make sure you have copped the EP if you have not already. Yes. Michael O is in the building. Blockavelli is here. Big shout outs to the family. What's up, Kamisha Ra? Good to see you. We don't know all the details of the situation. I mean, it just happened a couple of days ago. Obviously, because she was a councilwoman in New Jersey, people may want to link it with political ties and all of this. Who knows? You know, personally, I mean, maybe I watch too many crime shows, but I think it may have been maybe her ex-husband or, a romantic thing. Because I don't know, as a councilwoman, I mean, it's not like you're like a judge or, it's not like you directly handle legislation all by yourself. So I don't know that, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll try to keep an eye and see if there's any further updates. But I mean, to me, it just shouted, domestic violence, sometimes when you move on from people, you have a divorce, they can't really handle that you are doing okay with it. Some people think you're going to be like missing them or desperate or can't survive. And it seems perhaps she was doing very well professionally, maybe financially. So who knows? But we'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, I've covered this topic. Lemmy God says, still cannot stomach how she was in the GOP. She pretty much into the whole MAGA stuff. Very sad. Black people in America don't understand who they are. Unfortunately, a lot of African migrants don't understand who they are. Okay? They have no allegiance to each other. So they just see themselves as a man or a woman. And quite frankly, they don't want to be associated with a lot of the negative stuff that comes from Black people in those settings, or what they perceive comes from Black people in that settings. So one way for them to also be estranged from that is to go to the polar opposite. Okay, trivia question. Which party is heavily associated with Black people in America? Shout outs to the family. Trivia question. Which, political party is heavily associated with the Black community in America? Okay, so that means if you are a Black conservative or educated or a very professional, very wealthy Black person, and you don't really want to be associated with the vast amount of Black people in America, you might gravitate to the opposite. We see several Black people doing that. People like Omarosa and Kanye West. When you examine these people, look at their personal lives, they are interracially married. They might be, not really homosexuals, because they don't really like homosexuals on that side. But usually they're Oreos, basically, and they want to estrange themselves as much as they can from their Blackness, which is associated with the other political party. And I mean, obviously, hey, a lot of African migrants, this is their kind of mindset. They want to be cool with whites. They want to be validated by them. So what better way than to jump on that bandwagon? I don't know all her politics, and that doesn't really have anything to do with the topic we're talking about today. We're talking about gun violence, and we talk about how the fate of one Black man is the fate of all. So it doesn't surprise me at all. There's a lot of Black women swirling. There's a lot of Black women that talk like Valley girls, and they're just like total Oreos. And unfortunately, some of them, some of our darker skinned, beautiful women, they are the ones, because that Blackness is a challenge for them, in their perception of themselves. And they feel like the more that they can, gravitate to the white side, or what the white, what is it called? Like the hierarchy, that will make them more exceptional. All this is speculation. Again, we don't know. If any of Eunice's family finds this video, no disrespect or anything like that. But I'm just talking about it very candidly. From an aerial view, from an international world traveler, and from someone who has lived in the 3 countries I talk about, Ghana, UK, and America, what I see. And I see our people estranging themselves from a chaotic war zone that surrounds them, that they can actually become a victim at any time, just like Eunice. Big shout outs to the family. Thank you so much, Ingrid, for that super chat. You got the message. You understood the assignment. Thank you very much. Big shout outs to the family. Michael pointed this out and I co-signed it. She would definitely not get 6 to 12 bullets in her if she was in Ghana. Shout outs to all the viewers that are here. There was a woman in New Jersey who was gunned down, a Ghanaian woman, a councilwoman. She was killed a few days ago in New Jersey, 30 years old. Her name is Eunice Dumfour. And you'll need to watch the playback. I've already played the news clip twice. So if you want to see the actual news clip, you can watch this episode again or go Google it yourself. But yes, Ghanaians are also being affected by the gun problem in America. Yes, they are. Go tell it on a mountain, because African migrants act like this doesn't touch them. They act like police brutality is not their problem. And they just want to stay in their one corner and just ignore it. Well, guess what? You can't sit in water and not be wet. That's my African problem. You can't sit in water and not be wet. If any of you guys right now went and sat in water, okay, even if you had like a rainproof, you had, you know, your raincoat on, you know, you had on your little joggers from the gym, like the little swishy pants. Eventually, if you sit in water, you will get wet. Even if you get naked and you sit in water, your skin, the longer you sit in water, you know, when you go to the pool, I know some of y'all, it's wintertime, y'all don't get to go to the pool. But when you get in the pool and you stay in there for a while, your skin starts shriveling and you look like a raisin because you started to soak in that water. The problems that our peers are facing in the diaspora, it's all of our problem. I know if Eunice was here in Ghana, the probability of her being gunned down in her car like that is so unlikely. So that's what we're talking about today. Shout out to S.A. Smith. Miss Brown Sugar, what's up? Said it's getting worse and people need to stop lying. They're going to keep lying and I'm going to keep on talking the truth. It's a truth they don't want to hear. It's a truth they don't have the courage to tell. I don't know why. And I told you guys before, if you don't want to have the conversations with people, thank you so much, Alexis, for your super chat, sweetie. I see you there. Kisses to you too. Because I do realize that some Ghanaians, they're quite shy and they're non-confrontational. You know, obviously I live here. Medo Ghana fo pa. I love my Ghanaian people. You know, understand that this message is coming out of love. But our people, you know, here, they can be a little shy. They can be a little indirect. They can be a little like non-confrontational. So, you know, they may not come out like the African Superstar, be like, yo, let me tell you what it is. They don't want to do that. I told you, just go ahead and put the post on your page. Go ahead and send the news clip in the group chat. Okay? You don't have to have the debates. They will see it. They will look it up. They will read it. Especially for those of you guys that are abroad. You know, people back home are watching you and looking up. You know, look, I'm leaned in. We need to take more responsibility for our peers on our back. I know we live in a culture of like non-disclosure and irresponsibility, like it's every man for himself. But think about yourself when you were in a position of being ignorant to many things and how you would have appreciated someone to let you know. And more specifically to my African migrants that know how difficult the transition was for you when you moved to Canada, when you moved to the UK, when you moved to America, when you moved to Australia. You knew how difficult that transition was and how you would have appreciated a heads up about some of the things that were really going on. Now, obviously, I do recognize a lot of you guys are very stubborn and you don't listen. But people are not even bothering to make the effort, is what I'm saying. They just have this every man for himself and, you know, kind of thing. And it's costly and it's destroying our community because we don't take on each other. We don't even look out for each other and say, hey, man, look, you need to know this. You need to know that. You know, don't ever discourage someone here in Ghana from traveling abroad. Just give them the tools that they need to be successful in that transition if they need to go. Because quite frankly, if that's their dream and that's everything that they imagine, then you telling them not to go is not going to stop them. You need to educate them as to what it is. That way, when they get out there, they can understand, oh, wow, you know what Gina told me about these credit cards and getting a mortgage. I have a plan to go back to Ghana in 5 years. I need to live modestly and I need to save money and I need to watch out for these kind of things that's going to rope me up. That's all we need to do. Do the Chinese in China tell the Chinese that travel outside, don't go world travel? No, but they have instilled in them, hey, if you get skills outside or whatever, you bring them back here to China. You set up your business here. You make your life back here. You know, we'll sponsor you to go to university in the UK, but the day after you graduate, you got to come here and apply those skills. And that's the part we don't do. We're not mentoring our people. And that's why people here on the continent have just unbelievable expectations of going abroad, is because we, the diaspora, are doing a poor job of educating our people about what is happening to us globally. So yeah, I'm talking about this today. What's up, family? Ask why is everybody has their theories on what happened to the lady. All I know is she got shot. That's what I know. She's dead now, and it's awful, and it's totally a life cut short. And I know by her living in America, her probability was probably the highest in the world for that instance to happen to her. Much more than even her own homeland. Was she at risk of becoming a victim? I know when I looked up the statistic, this was years ago, so it's probably even higher now. When I moved out of the US in 2017, the statistic at that time said that you are 25 times more likely to become a victim of gun violence living in the US than anywhere else in the world. So that means that Eunice was 25, at least. It could now be 30, because since that has happened, we've had, you know, in the US, there's been a myriad of, you know, police brutality. There's been a myriad of mass shootings, school shootings, blah, blah, blah. So it could be anywhere from, you know, 25 to 35%. More likely. Why would you want to roll the dice, guys? Why would you want to roll the dice? You're just playing games every day if you don't have a plan B. You're playing games. And it will be a terrible situation for everything to implode. And you've had plenty of time to prepare a plan B, emergency, getaway, whatever, you know, storehouse, whatever game plan you got going on. But you have not even activated it or even sat down and considered it. And Ghanaians abroad are so eager to just be living out there. Huh? Some people just set off and they think, I'm never coming home. I'm going to make my life out here. Well, guess what? These are things you're going to deal with. Are you ready to lose your friends and family to gun violence? Are you ready to become a victim? How does that look? Because I'm telling you right now, if you live in America and you've never thought about, well, damn, what if they start shooting when I'm in Kmart? Or they don't have Kmart, sorry. What if they start shooting when I'm in the Walmart or Nordstrom, for you fancy folks? What happens if I meet a rogue cop one day? You know, do you think they're going to look at Kofi or Kwame and say, oh, well, he's from Ghana, so we're not going to gun him down? We only do that to the Black Americans. Shout out to the family. As we begin to do the work, S.A. Smith brings up an excellent point. Africans, unfortunately, will see that African Americans were not lying. We have to, you know, because, again, the reason why I think a lot of times this gets rejected is every time, like, for instance, when a Black American is a victim of police brutality, okay? You know, there's the protests and there's all this like online chatter for a couple of days and this and that and the other. And a lot of times that doesn't really cross the barrier into the African communities, because in America, people have everybody's living, apart from like large cities like New York and basically the whole East Coast, maybe Chicago, where some of the communities are a little bit more integrated. But for the most part, you know, you have the Africans that live among their own, and then you have the Black Americans that live among their own, and the Latinos live among their own, and all of that. So when a situation happens to African Americans, the African communities have disassociated and said, well, that doesn't pertain to us. But it does. And I think as it starts affecting more and more Africans, African migrants, and so on and so forth, they will begin to understand, oh, wow, this is not just limited to African Americans. Because overwhelmingly, a lot of the victims are African Americans. You know, there have been a few instances that have happened to African migrants, but a lot of it is, you know, when it's that everyday hood shootings and stuff like that, that may not be happening to Ghanaians and things like that. But in this instance, you know, I just wanted to bring it to the light, because I think we need to have this conversation. Big shout out to the family. What's up, Debbie? I'm getting ready to wrap up. I'm just going to finish these shout outs. Blockavelli says the violence is outrageous. What's up, Joyce Boggs? I see you there. Ingrid is here from Orlando. Big shout out to the family. YPK says, you're absolutely right. The venom that many Black people have against these other Black people is just incredible. Black people are so quick to jump into bashing other Black people is just so sad. Absolutely. But this is the American way. You know, I realized here, living in Ghana, it's a communal place. And the reason that living here is so lovely is because it's a communal place. It's because people have a regard for humans. It's because if a little child goes to a neighbor's house and says, oh, I'm hungry or I'm thirsty, they're going to feed the child. They're not going to say, you need to go back to your house. I'm not your mom and dad, you know. Or if you need help, you know, like I've recently been spending a lot more time with my neighbor. I ran into her the other day. We were having light out in my place, and I just came outside to get some fresh air. And she was there, and we started chatting. And, you know, we got to know that we knew some people, each other, and this and that. She you know, so she said, oh, well, you know, last night we went out and took a walk. She loves to take walks in the evening, which I do too. So it's like, but I mean, many of you guys can attest, living abroad, you probably don't know your neighbors. You probably, I mean, maybe you've been living in this place for years and you don't see your neighbors, have no interaction with it. And that also is a detriment, because if you need help, you know, then you have less people to call on. But that's how we live in the West. And that's why we look at each other as enemies, or we look at each other and we think, well, you're nothing to me. If that person is not directly a part of your life, you have no implied value for them. You have no respect for them. You know, you can see Black men and women just getting online, just tearing each other to shreds, complete strangers insulting each other and things like this. All of this comes from the environment. The environment plants these seeds. And when people grow up and the fruit starts coming out of the seeds that were planted, we want to act like it's a mystery. No, it is an environmental thing. It's the combination of education and music and socialization that makes them like that. And I refuse to believe, for instance, that Black people are inherently violent. They are not, because I live on the continent where the largest population of Black people exists, and we are nowhere near as violent as the Western world. So the Western world has imparted that onto its citizens, Black and white. And if you are a foreigner living there and you think somehow you're in a bubble, and you know, a lot of foreigners that live abroad are so eager to give birth there, you know, solidify themselves there. They don't realize, hey, that stuff's going to come into your household by way of your children, because you can't sit in water and not get wet. They can't grow up there for 20 or 30 years and not pick up things of their environment. It's impossible. You know, so these are the conversations that Michael's talking about something else. I don't know if this is connected, but no, Michael, you didn't spell my name right. Dun, dun, dun. It's J-E-E-N-A. Hello. J-E-E-N-A. But anyway, Michael's talking about Nigerian couples literally move to the West to get divorced nowadays. Relocating is a foolish trend and divorcing is a bigger trend among us. Divorce is a huge trend in the West again. So again, all these influences, you know, because they empower women and also men to feel like they don't need each other. You know, they don't talk about generational wealth. They don't talk about how breaking that family home a lot of times negatively affects the child. You know, there's many, many reasons why having a family is a great environment for a child. You know, because having a child on your own is a lot of demand. And then if something happens to that sole parent, the child becomes an orphan. You know, there's a lot of things, a lot of detriments to the single family home. And again, if this applies to you guys, don't take it personal. I'm just talking frankly here today, but it is what it is. And I would think that most of you guys, if you are in that situation, you didn't want to be. You know, maybe the relationship, you know, maybe you were married at the time you gave birth or whatever, or the relationship was on, and eventually it came down to you being a single parent. But I'm pretty sure if you had your choice, you would have preferred to have an active partner there helping you with your child. The West promotes divorce. You know, they're going to give aid to women in the UK and America to, you know, take care of the household or whatever. They're going to, you know, they're going to basically assist them in that. And oftentimes they realize later down the line, maybe it wasn't the best idea. And a lot of women that are single women and single parents and stuff are tired of it in the West because it's now become so norm that it's like, look, I just want to have a family, you know, and that's what I want to do. But anyway, this is not the topic today. Michael, please stay on topic. What's up, Dove Fly? I see you there. Big shout outs to the family. Bronco Blue is with me. Yes, it's a terrible, tragic story, but it needs to come and reach these shores over here on the continent. Yes, and I'm calling out all my African migrants. Don't slide up into my chat room and be like, oh my God, it's off the hook. If you haven't even told your own family, huh? If they're not listening to you, that's one thing. But if you're not having the conversation, that's another. Okay? And if you're sharing the pajama pictures and you're rolling around in the snow, making snow angels, go ahead and share this stuff as well. Create a balance. Because for those of you that are African migrants and you have social media, and primarily it's Continentals that follow you a lot of times. If you've migrated, you don't have a huge network in America. You don't have a huge network in the UK. Most of the people following you and interacting with you will be back home. Your influence will be huge compared to mine, where my audience is varied and a lot of diasporians. You have an audience of the Continentals, who are the ones that need to know. You're making the West look super glamorous to them without providing any balance. Let them know when they want to come to America. Yeah, it's dangerous. You know, it's dangerous. And it's something you need to be aware of. You know, so they don't go into the wrong place thinking, you know, they go and have a conversation with someone and then, you know, next thing you know. You know, there was an expat living in Brazil, or I believe he traveled to Brazil. I saw an episode on O'Shea's channel a couple weeks ago. And apparently, you know, the guy was a world traveler. He's a photographer, you know, as a hobby. He went to Colombia and he was taking pictures of like architecture. And then he was suddenly shot and killed in the streets because he was in the middle of a turf war for rival gangs. And apparently they must have assumed that he was with the rival gang and he was coming to maybe collect pictures or whatever, and they shot him. The young man was a lawyer in, I believe, New York. Very accomplished young man. And just like that, you know, these are the reasons we don't really want our people to be set up. Let them know what is going on. You know, so when they think, oh, New Jersey. That's where that councilwoman got shot. They can start to correlate it. Instead of us just sending our people blindly around the world, and we can't get ahead that way. When someone who's 35 or 40 years old moves to the U.S., starts from scratch, that is a loss to our community. Instead of that person being able to come there and hit the ground running because they've already been informed, they've already been given a template about what they need to do and how they need to move. Big shout out to the family. I'm almost done. I'm just getting through this. YPK says, yes, you're right. Many African migrants in the U.S. have this false belief that they are different from African Americans. Many do not realize that to the white person, black is black. I couldn't have said any better, but I'm going to go ahead and keep on saying the message. I know that y'all don't listen to me, but I'm still going to be talking. I'm still going to be talking. I'm still going to be talking because I really talk to people like myself. That's who I talk to. I talk to the person that wants to make an informed decision. Okay. Some of you guys are stubborn and you're reactive and you just do dumb stuff and whatever. But there are some of us that's strategy. Hello, SMP. Some of us are like, no, let me try to organize myself so I know how to move so I can be successful. You know, these are the things I need to know about where I'm going and what I'm doing. There's somebody out there that's going to take this information and be like, okay, thank you. I need to know that. Wow, the African Superstar is talking about this gun violence. Okay, I need to be aware of that. Maybe I won't go to the U.S. Maybe I'll try somewhere else, you know, or maybe I'll stay home and look in my own backyard. I think if a lot of Ghanaians really knew how dangerous it was out there and a lot of the stuff they're going to face and that they have a lot of opportunity here, they may reconsider. But because they believe that it's infinitely going to be better, and under many circumstances, they believe that it's better hands down there than here, they're attracted without knowing the whole story. Big shout outs. What's up? What's up? What's up? Nkrumah, I see you there, brother. Thank you so much. In Cali. Okay. All right. And the answer to my trivia question was the Democratic Party. Okay. The Democratic Party in America is the political party that's associated with Black people. Okay. So those Blacks that don't want to be associated with us and want to try to draw the line of demarcation. Well, I'm not like most Blacks. I'm different. Okay. I'm with you. I'm acceptable. I'm part of, you know, I have the, you know, I'm on the different side of the coin. They're going to gravitate, just to be contrary, they're going to gravitate to maybe the Republicans because the Republicans represent the conservative, traditional, white American. That's who they market to. They only come and market to Black people. And I mean, and I use the term very lightly, but during election time when they want the votes. But apart from that, the identity of the Conservative Party is white. So, you know, that was the answer to that. Big shout outs to the family. Zoo and Shane is in the building. Thank you so much. Ingrid was showing y'all how to do it. We got 50 of y'all. Can I get some more super chat support? My goodness. Ghanaian lady was gunned down in New Jersey. You're going to have to see the playback. I've played the, maybe I'll play it again because we have a bigger crowd here. Okay, I'll play the news clip one last time for you guys, and then we are going to wrap up. Big shout out to my super chat donors. I appreciate you guys supporting this platform for all them other people that's just coming here and watching for free. But yeah, I'm going to talk about this topic. And I'm going to play the clip one last time. We have, 50 of you in here. So let me go ahead and play the clip. And
around 7:30 p.m., police responding to a 911 call about shots fired in a New Jersey suburb.
Check Avenue for the subject of a shooting.
Investigators say they found Eunice Dwumfor, a 30-year-old borough councilwoman, in her car with multiple gunshot wounds and pronounced her dead at the scene.
Got one victim that we know of.
Horrified residents described hearing a barrage of gunfire. What did you hear last night?
I heard of this volley of gunshots about 7:30 last night, and I immediately got away from my windows, I knew right away that that was abnormal.
New Jersey's governor says he cannot recall the last time a gunman killed an elected official in the state.
It's just a shocking, shocking development. So please keep her memory and her family and the community in Sayreville in your prayers.
Our New York station reporting that neighbors say they saw a man standing near the car who then fled the scene toward a wooded area and highway near the apartment complex where Dwunfor lived and died. While those who knew the single mother with a preteen daughter praised her commitment to public service, elected as a Republican in 2021, and her devotion to her church.
Eunice struck me as a person who loved to challenge and loved to serve, and loved to serve through her church and loved to serve the community.
Tonight, authorities not saying whether they have a suspect or a motive, only that their homicide investigation continues.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
Okay, guys, so that was the last time I'm going to show the clip, seriously. And what you just need to take away from this is that this situation can happen to any of us. All right. So, I mean, she's probably as clean as a whistle. And it comes, I mean, she wasn't gangbanging. She wasn't out at 2:30 in the middle of the night on a corner. You know, she wasn't at a strip club. She wasn't in a robbery. You know, all the things that you would correlate with violence, and you would think, oh, well, you know, he or she was asking for it because they were in shady circumstances. You know, the fact of the matter is she's now another victim of gun violence, and she is a Ghanaian. And so that just goes to show, when you are in that environment, things that are happening frequently in the environment around you can affect you. You know, so I mean, a lot of you guys are putting your assumptions. I mean, I think it's just kind of beside the point what I'm talking about, because I mean, if we want to get down to it, all these gun situations happen for some reason. It could be a breakup, it could be a robbery, it could be a hit, it could be a random, you know. The fact is that a 30-year-old lady is gone, and her probability of being involved in this kind of violence is significantly higher because she lives in America, where many people are armed all the time. You know, I know in Ohio, where I used to live back in the days, they have a conceal and carry law there. I know they were calling it a conceal and carry state. And basically that means, you know, you can have it on you and nobody even never know. You could be at the gas station getting gas or getting an ice cream cone, and this person is packing, you know, a revolver or whatever. I don't even know the guns, you know. And that's what it's like. And then maybe you guys have a little exchange. Maybe you cut them off in traffic, or you say something smart to them or whatever. Or, you know, this is my personal theory, was it's probably relationship related. You know, maybe the ex or the baby daddy or whatever. Or, you know, the guy that, you know, has been stalking her at the office that she's not interested in. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that, I mean, you know, and my condolences to her family. I know it's probably devastating, especially if she still has maybe family here in Ghana. And it's just, you know, nobody expects that, oh my God, my niece or daughter or granddaughter is going to be gunned down in America, the land of opportunity, you know, but it is something that is happening. So yes, guys, that was my coverage of the story. Big shout outs to everybody that was here. Big shout outs to all of our super chat donors. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do. Please make sure you also pick up the EP. If you've been like, oh yeah, Gina, I'm gonna go get it today. Go get it today. I'll be so happy to get 10 sales. It's only $15. And you get to hear, you know, music, some of your favorites and some of new favorites. So head over to bandcamp.com and pick up my EP. For every action, there's a reaction. Guys, I'll see you again very soon. Until we meet again, stay black and true. If you ain't black, just stay true.